first off, everybody, please bear with me. This is my first ever live stream. So a little patience as I get through this. Um, I'll kind of just roll for a little while. Obviously, please drop questions in the chat at any point, and get to those. I'll get to those at the end. But I'll just kind of get rolling here. I still see people coming in. First off, I'm Alex Smith. I was lucky enough. I played 16 years in the NFL. Never thought it would happen in my wildest dreams. It was not obvious. If you guys would have seen me in high school, it wasn't necessarily in the cards that I would have been a professional athlete, let alone NFL quarterback. I played for 8 years for the San Francisco 49ers, where I was drafted #1 overall back in 2005, and then traded to the Chiefs, where I played for 5 years, and then traded yet again and finished out with 3 years in Washington. Prior to that, I went to the University of Utah, go Utes, where I played for 3 years. And then prior to that, in high school in San Diego, California, the mean streets of San Diego, where I grew up. Cumulatively, that's like 25 years of football. Believe it or not, I actually didn't play youth football. I didn't start playing until high school. But still almost 25 years on the field is just crazy to think about. Funny thing is, I actually didn't get my first concussion. Had nothing to do with football. I was a 10-year-old kid on family vacation. My family loves to ski, and I was skiing in Utah, believe it or not, as a 10-year-old kid with my family, and waiting on the side of the run, and I got plowed over by an older man, and don't remember anything. All I remember is coming to on the side of the mountain. Ski patrol was there asking me questions. What I had for breakfast, where I was, what time was it? But definitely, probably the most serious concussion in my life was that one. I went on to have 3 more playing football. I had 1 in college and 2 in the NFL. We can talk about those more later. Obviously, one of them very public that cost me my job in San Francisco. But certainly, this is concussions. I think for a lot of people, right? It's a part of life. Certainly been a part of my life. If you go back to that 10-year-old kid for 35 years, something obviously as a football player that weighs on your mind pretty heavily. Every football player's mind. Just the reality. This is an amazing game, but certainly there are physical ramifications from it, and certainly this is the big unknown. And as somebody that I've had a lot of, pretty prominent orthopedic injury with my lower leg. And I'm so lucky the way that turned out. But certainly this is the looming one that I think all football players think about a lot, right, as we continue to learn more. But so much of it is unknown, the effect of concussions and TBI and head trauma. And so that's what I'm here to talk about, and not necessarily here to talk about football. So please don't ask me any questions about the Myles Garrett trade or who's going to win the Super Bowl. Definitely here to obviously talk about Oxeia Biopharma. And why I joined, and for potentially any investors out there, some information to help you make that decision. So again, please drop your questions in the chat. But yeah, I'm here because of Oxeia, right? And really, why did I join the board? Why did I invest in this company? I'm here to tell you a little bit about that. First off, obviously it's a space, concussions, again, even though football is a pretty public forum for it, it's something that affects everybody. But sadly, the treatment for concussions is the same as it's been 100 years ago, and 100 years before that, and 100 years before that, right? Just rest and wait. It's a giant void, a giant nothing, the treatment that is for concussions. Rest and wait and hope you get better. And so for me, obviously, there is this huge need. And then I was obviously introduced to Oxeia. This is a company that's actually trying to change that, right? A company that's actually trying to develop a drug, not a supplement, not a helmet. Those things are nice, but this is an actual drug treatment. And I think at this point we are the only company in the world with a phase 2A result in this space, right? This is again a company that's actually trying to do something, and I really joined because of the team. Right, our CEO Michael Wine and Dr. Vishal Bansal, our chief scientific officer, our co-founder. He's also the head trauma surgeon at Scripps in San Diego, coincidentally enough, where I grew up. And this is a guy that again, sees concussion patients in his ER bays every single week, right? This isn't just academic to him. This is the team that's behind this drug, and obviously why I decided to be a part of it. Again, I think if you're potentially thinking about investing and you're wondering about the market, right? Market size. And again, obviously I'm being here with my connection to football, but obviously it's so much bigger than that, right? And we hear from this market all the time, right? We hear from veterans, we hear from parents, we hear from obviously young athletes, right? And again, someone who got car accidents, people who fell down. And that's the question and the answers that we're seeking, right? Can we help them? Can we develop a drug that actually works? That's what this fundraise will go directly towards. And that's certainly, again, why I'm a part of this and here. Again, as I kind of jump into my concussion history, right? The most prominent concussion that I had certainly was when I was in San Francisco. And again, we were rolling. We had gone to the NFC Championship game the year before. I think we were one of the best teams in football. I was leading the NFL in passer rating, and then on a Candlestick Park at 1 o'clock kickoff against the Rams. It was a beautiful day. I remember it very well. An amazing day. I remember taking a hit, and it was one of these things when you hear the phrase, your bell rung. I wasn't out or unconscious or anything like that. I remember it really well, but I do remember it immediately affecting my vision. And it was one of these things I remember being so bright, and as it blurred my vision as something that I tried to blink off, would not go away. And again, as I tried to tough it out and continued to play, hoping that I could get through it, as a lot of football players do, as a lot of people do. Again, I think taking pride in being tough, and again, continue to try to play through this, and it just never got better. And actually only continued to kind of get worse and obscure, especially as bright as it was. Crazy thing is, I actually, my last play was a touchdown. I actually threw a touchdown. I don't know how it happened. I remember throwing kind of completely blind, I felt like, and somehow we scored. But as I came off the sideline after that drive, it was very clear that I was not helping the team and potentially could really cost us if I stayed out there. Obviously, at that point, made the doctors aware of what I was dealing with, and was pulled from the game. Enter Colin Kaepernick, who goes on this just historic run. And we go to the Super Bowl that year, and I watched it from the sideline, right? And obviously lost my starting job and found myself traded to Kansas City. And certainly just one story of a very public concussion. And again, remember the feeling, right? Like as I was kind of told to rest and wait, and constantly asked how I felt, what my symptoms were, and again, just the lack of answers as you go through that, and that unknown, and the anxiety that it creates, and again, so as I jump forward to everybody watching and potentially thinking about investing, or maybe they have invested, I hope you don't think I'm being dramatic. And again, this is just something that is a huge deal, right? And again, even though football is such a public forum for it, this is obviously affects way more people than that. Some facts for here for you guys, right? I obviously think facts are important. The CDC estimates between 1.6 and 3.8 million sports and recreational concussions in this country every single year. Again, 1.6 to 3.8. 7 out of 10 of those are emergency room visits from kids 17 or under. Again, this is, I think I'm the father of 3. I constantly get asked by my friends, by my kids' friends' parents, what can they do? Their kid got a concussion on the playground or playing lacrosse. What can they do? And again, unfortunately, always, again, the answer has always really been rest and wait, right? Nothing. When you add in everything else, when you add in falls, car accidents, militaries, concussions that don't get reported, the actual total estimate runs somewhere between 7 and 21 million concussions a year in this country. Again, the crazy part is, for those that do rest and wait, and this is the population that we're really talking about here, between 1.4 and 4.2 million of those people do not get better in the first few weeks, right? They have to live with these symptoms for months, sometimes years, right? We're talking about headaches, sleep problems, memory issues, mood changes, personality changes. And again, nothing they can really do, right? Zero approved drugs in this space. And again, this is what a lot of people miss, right? Almost half of all traumatic brain injuries in this country come from falls, right? Not football. Believe it or not football. Older adults, kids, construction workers, car accidents. Certainly football is the loudest corner of this problem, but it's obviously a much bigger pie. This is not just a men's problem. This is the crazy part. Our co-founder, Dr. Vishal Bansal, again, who's head of trauma surgery at Scripps in San Diego, obviously sees a ton of patients. His daughter plays club volleyball, right? And again, this is something that's very clear to him, and it's striking how many more girls get concussions in their counterpart sport, right, than boys. In soccer, girls get concussed 1.76 times more, the higher rate than boys, right? In basketball, it's nearly twice the rate as their boy counterpart. Again, same sport, same rules, but obviously affects the female population differently. And again, when you look at the CDC's top 10 list for concussion rates by sport, half are obviously girls' sports. And again, obviously a big problem. Again, here's some football facts as we jump into this. Researchers measure concussion risk by what they call exposures. Okay, one athlete, one practice or game, one exposure. In tackle football, you see roughly 1 to 2 diagnosed concussions per 1,000 exposures. If you take one football team, one high school football team, 30 kids, 4 practices, and a game a week, a 10-week season, that's nearly 1,500 exposures. And at those rates, obviously, you're going to have several a year. And that's just on one team, right, in one season. You can multiply that across the country. You start adding all the sports and the age groups, the rec leagues, and obviously it's just a huge total. And so, again, what convinced me, right, to join, and here I'll get into some of the science of why I joined Oxeia and its potential, right? And I want to be obviously careful with my wording here, right? There's a lot of gray in this field. There's a lot of nuance. There is no test. There is no FDA approved test for a concussion. That's part of the problem here. Certainly, again, part of the problem we're trying to solve at Oxeia. I'm not guaranteeing you that Oxeia is going to cure concussions. What I'm going to tell you is this, and what the data shows, what the risk is, and what we're going to do over the next 18 months, right? And then you guys can decide. The science starts with what Oxeia really is, and it's OXE103, right? That's the drug. That's the peptide, something our bodies produce naturally. It's in the same family of biology as the GLP-1 drugs you've been hearing about for diabetes or weight loss. And again, I'm not a scientist. That's Vishal's department. But from my seat on the board, 2 things are very, very clear. This is safe. And in the first human study, it worked. Okay. And here's that study. Oxeia ran a phase 2A trial at the University of Kansas Medical Center with patients who were within 30 days of a concussion and still really, really symptomatic, right? Real patients with ongoing symptoms. And this is what I want you guys to hear. The result was an 85% of patients, OXE103, had a positive responder rate, right? Again, the result was that 85% of patients on OXE103 responded, compared to 33% on standard care alone. And again, this is crazy. To our knowledge, this is the first meaningful clinical improvement ever reported in this patient population, right? For any drug candidate. Certainly exciting. And this is what's made me put, my name on this. This is why I'm talking to you guys today. The chance to do something that's never been done, ever. Again, there's 0 approved treatments for concussion ever. What does this mean? Again, phase 2A, I want to be clear with what that is. This is a proof of concept study. It's a small, early human study. It doesn't necessarily tell us that this drug will work at scale, right? That's what phase 2B will do. That's what we are fundraising again for right now. That's the next trial, 160 to 200 patients, multi-site, randomized, and placebo-controlled, running about 18 months. And this is the big inflection point, right? And this is what you guys have a chance to be a part of. If phase 2B succeeds, Oxeia would have been the first ever validated clinical result for a concussion drug, something that has literally never happened in the history of medicine. We're pioneering this. Our goal is to read out our top line data by mid 2028 for everybody out there on a timeline, just so you know what you're getting into. And when you invest with Oxeia right now, you're going to be funding this phase 2B trial, every dollar of it, right? This is the trial that determines whether the kid who comes off the field with the headache, right, with his bell rung, right? I've been there next Friday, or the veteran or serviceman or woman, the parent on the playground, right, trying to help their kid. This is who we're working for. This is what you can be a part of. Again, this is about the end of my spiel. Please get your questions rolling. Okay, here we go. I'll just jump straight in this. Dennis, have healthcare professionals discovered why females have more severe symptoms of concussion? To my knowledge, Dennis, there's obviously a lot of theories on that. No one totally knows, right, why it happens. Is it hormonal, right? Like, is it neck strength? Is it the way that women, obviously report symptoms, right? We know this on a population level, that women are far better at reporting symptoms on anything than men, sadly. But nobody totally knows why the same sport, again, when you think of soccer and basketball on a youth level, why the female concussion rate is so much higher than their male counterpart. Any other questions rolling through the chat? I hope I'm doing this correct for everybody out there. Also, some updates here again. Very cool opportunity for anybody that's still interested in this. Tuesday, June 16th, same time as today. Vishal Bansal, again, our head doctor and co-founder and chief scientific officer, is also going to be doing a live stream. He's going to walk you through all the molecular science, the mechanism, why ghrelin, which is OXE103, his approach, again, the science behind it. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. And then another one on Thursday, June 18th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Again, all three of us, Vishal, Michael Wyand, our CEO, and me are going to be sitting down for a webinar. One room with all of us in it, can talk about, I think, everything related to Oxeia Biopharma again. So please take part in that. Any other questions in the chat? Gosh, I don't. Please keep them coming. I don't see anything else at the moment. Again, for everybody out there, if you want more information, please go to invest.oxeabiopharma.com. The round is open right now. Obviously, we're rolling ahead again towards raising for this big phase 2B study. Again, I just can't say enough about what this company is trying to do in a space where there haven't been any answers, right? And I think it's a very, very cool opportunity to be a part of something potentially really impactful. And again, in a space that is void of answers. Here's a company that's actually trying to do something. And again, please obviously check out those dates I mentioned. Again, Tuesday, June 16th, as well as Thursday, June 18th for more information. Again, go check us out online. One more time, it's invest.oxeabiopharma.com. If you guys want to see anything else, tons of information on there on our website. So I think that's it. from my end, again, thanks for joining, and be alert for more information. All right. See you guys.